Greetings, everybody. I'm back. Yay! It's been quite the journey of some travel and family visiting and a friend visiting right now. As you may know, my last video, I had a wonderful interview with my dear friend, Dr. Maria Zayas, where we talked about the whole gender issue from her standpoint, her clinical standpoint. And as a psychologist, there's a certain perspective in her expertise, and she stayed with it, and I really, really appreciate it. Now today what I want to do is I want to fill in the subject with my perspective, and because I think there's a lot of factors going on here that I think we need to be aware of to have more compassion and also understanding and potentially ability to think more clearly about the whole subject, because there's no doubt we're living in a time right now where the whole male-female family, paradigm has been shattered, right? I mean, this is something that's already done. It's a much bigger agenda in play, which I know my viewers will understand what I'm talking about with that. If you don't, well, that's okay. What we're saying is that there has been an agenda by certain parties over a long period of time to really have control over the world. And it's easy to take control over the world when you split apart the nucleus family, when you split apart communities, when you split apart nations, and very specifically when you split apart a human being. And what a better way to, when it comes to their gender identity. It's the old paradigm, the old tactic, right? Divide and conquer. And we see this has been at work for a long time. A lot of these genders have been openly, specifically outlined. You do your research on it. The interesting thing in a free will universe is that you have to, all sides of the parties, whether you're on whatever spectrum you're on of wanting, more chaos or more coherence, is that you have to announce, you have to say what you're doing. So there has been very, very clear and direct communication about, what let's say the other side that wants the chaos and wants to split apart humanity for their own agenda. That has been written. There's lots of research on YouTube you can find if you're interested. Most of you probably already know about that. So today with the whole gender thing, what I want to talk about are the areas of my interest. And I wouldn't say like expertise, because that's one where I'm not like a doctor, I'm not licensed with different things as far as the world would say educationally, but I have the school of life perspective, and to me that is powerful. Anyway, so just my perspective, I want to do in a couple different layers here. Dr. Zayas talked about teratogens and at least in the classical psychologist viewpoint, there are a thing called teratogens in research, and that would be, as I understood her describing, would be like foreign entities that get into the mother that may change the system and have an influence of how a fetus is even developing. What we know that to be is toxins, and what we know that to be is this would be, pesticides on our food, all the chemicals around us. It's, lack of nutrition, depleting the topsoil of nutrients. It's chemtrails. It's electromagnetic frequencies. The list goes on and on. The assault on our human bodies. So when she said that, I was like, boom, the light bulb went off for me. It's like, how perfect is that? There's so many different, all the release of phytoestrogens into our system and the demasculization of men. This is all, I feel, is part of that strategy of nullifying the power of true masculine and feminine energies coming together in harmony in a powerful way of understanding their divine potential as creator beings. So when you get all these teratogens, these poisons, these toxins in the body and in a mother's body, that it's going to disrupt, it's going to disrupt the development of the fetus, and it's going to disrupt all parts of it, and especially I would think biochemically. I'm not a scientist with it. I'm not going to get scientific on you because I can't, but I'm going to use common sense. Okay, and so common sense tells me that these disruptive agents, especially the phytoestrogens, is going to have an impact on fetuses. Like, you think about that for any of you older, more my generation, that we didn't have these things back then. Now some people say, well, that's because we wouldn't talk about it. No, I disagree. I think that we didn't have the complexities then because the agenda hadn't moved to where it is nowadays. So back when I was growing up, little boys, little girls, and there may be some, different homosexual tendencies, which is, and preferences, and no big deal. I mean, it wasn't that complicated of a thing. Now, unfortunately, back then, others that were drawn to the same sex, there was a lot of stigma, and there was a rough road for them to travel to get to the place where there's acceptance. And so I'm all about acceptance in things, but I'm not into just the crazy mix-up that's going on now, and I don't think there's anything natural about it. That's what I'm talking about here. So we have, like, right now we have this extreme, but we have an extreme in the pollution, the disruption of our natural state in everything, from the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, it's just, it's everywhere. Even clothing, clothing, that's like one of the most toxic businesses, industries in the world, and they don't talk about it that much. And that's something I'll do a whole other video on, because, and why we should like reuse, and do resale and stuff like that instead of adding to that problem. But a lot of clothing, it's treated with formaldehyde and all kinds of nasty chemicals. And if you don't wash them really good before you put something new on, that's another thing that's getting into the body. But anyway, so you have like this onslaught at the level of real physical, just coming in. And why now? Why all that we're seeing now? And it is, my heart goes out to all the young people that are really striving to figure out who they are. They're trying to make sense with it, and it's not making sense. And they're creating new categories, new labels, new little boxes. I've done this thing on little box people, new little boxes so they can feel comfortable and fit in. And that's a natural human longing, right? Is I want to fit in, I want to know who I am. Well, the who I am has gotten really jacked up bad. And I don't know, there's not, we're already in this spot where we're down far on the agenda. I don't think there's a way of going in right now and just correcting it. It's going to be like a journey of enlightenment for humanity to come out of this. But let me get back to my point here. So a lot of the young people and the chaos that's happened, I think it's happened in utero. I think it's happened with the mother. It's happened with the environment. It's happened with just the deep disruption within our biological beings. There's the classifications of how much toxicity is acceptable in the human body, as far as like just even chemicals and pesticides, insecticides. And every year they keep upping that. They say, oh, well, now this is the acceptable limit. Oh, and now this is the acceptable limit. And why is that? Is because they just, every time they test people, it is like higher and higher levels. So we'll have this acceptable. So this to me is like a huge point, is the difference between natural and normal. So we say, well, no, it's normal. Because that's what everybody is now. So we'll accept that as the new normal. We have all this gender confusion out there, and anger, and this rage, and angst, and I feel it. I feel it, young people. This is like really intense. And it's like, this is normal. Well, yes, it is normal to where we are right now, but it's far from being natural. Anyway, so that's my little thing on that area as far as the teratogens, toxins and stuff. I think that's a direct play on the gender issues we're having now, the complexities. I think is part of another agenda that's working out brilliantly for that side. And then we go into, I want to kind of pull back farther, draw up higher, and look at the spiritual aspect of it. And once again, this is my opinion. And, I believe that we are higher level beings, high vibrational, eternal beings that focus our consciousness and project it into these physical bodies with purpose. with absolute purpose. There is no mistake. There's not a mistake that I came into a woman's body. There's not a mistake someone came into a man's body. There's not a mistake I was born to the family I was born to, in the society, in the culture, everything, this period of time. So if we accept that, then we have to look at, okay, then why, I'm going to go like the simple part of it. Why somebody would come in feeling like a female, but yet they're in a male body. So a few ideas around this. I'm throwing out ideas. One is maybe it's just part of the expansion for humanity to understand the non-binary sequence, where you can be in the range of masculinity. It's not just Marlboro Man, stoic, men of old, and that there's like the artist, there's the intuits, there's all kinds of beautiful ranges of being a man that come right up towards the line of where you cross it genetically into females, and then with the female, there's all that spectrum too. And I think that's what Maria pointed out beautifully, is that there's a lot of spectrum there. And I think us trying to divide things in a binary way, it just isn't true. So I see a blessing. What I'm saying is I see a blessing of people coming in and expanding that out. It's like, I can be a man, and yet I can have other preferences, and I can have other ways of expression that's beautiful and encompassing and vast, and a lot. And the same thing with a woman. Yet my question is, you just to remember that you incarnated into a male body, and you may feel all these feminine things. Fine. You incarnated into the male body. That was a choice. It's not a mistake. I don't believe in mistakes. If you do, then this whole train of thought isn't going to work for you, and that's cool. Absolutely cool. I got no problem with it. I'm sharing my train of thoughts. So my train of thought, based also on my experience, is, most of my life I felt much more masculine. I felt, and isn't that a joke, because I'm in like this ultra feminine body, but I felt way more masculine as far as what society would say. I was an entrepreneur, and I just go out and do things, and even like, sexual desires and stuff. I always felt they were way more male than female, of what I was taught female nature was. Well, at some point, it wasn't that long ago, I finally just said, all right, I'm just going to fully accept that I came into this feminine body for a reason. So this journey isn't about developing and, resenting that part and liking the other part better and really leaning into that. It's like, let me explore femininity. Might as well. This is what I got, and so explore my femininity and my power, my femininity. Oh my God, and here's the Rebel Crone. This is an exploration into the beauty and diversity and the incredibleness of femininity, as it comes to rest in women. And our journey through time in this world at this specific time, so what I'm saying here is that I feel like there's also like a divine ordinance, if we want to say there's a reason, and this isn't some God man up there, no, you're going to do this or that. No, it's my higher self. It's my higher being that chose this vehicle. Why did it choose this vehicle? This way my mind's configured, all these different things for a reason. I'm going to explore it. And I think this is one of the challenges that we're seeing right now, is some of the young people that have really decided, I don't want this female body anymore. I identify more as a male, so I'm going to lop these off. I'm going to take hormones, I don't even know what they do down there, but they do stuff down there, and I'm going to go in that direction. Or men, I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to put implants, and I'm going to do all these hormones to try to change me. But you can't change, your chromosomes. That's a set thing. How your brain developed, that's a set thing. Even though we learned from Dr. Maria that there's a broad range of it, it's still like a set thing. And anyway, so this whole thing where nowadays people are making choices, like really drastic ones. If you do any like searching through on the internet, you're going to see more and more testimonials from people that have done this, that regret it, that are like, what? That was a mistake. They got caught up in this current, and like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Fuck y'all, and I'm gonna just change this, and I'll be what I want to be. That's reactionary. And I'm not saying everybody's regretting it, but it's a massive thing to do to your body, and it's a huge I think a huge violation, and I'm sorry if that word offends anybody, but I do feel like it's a violation of this sacredness of this vehicle, this temple that we came in. Now, I'm not opposed to people doing little tweaking, little things here and there, of just, if you want to try to look younger, go look younger. It's your avatar. So in one sense, it's your avatar. Do with it what you want. But also honor the fact that that avatar is not a mistake. That avatar was specifically chosen for you. Then we can look at all like past life stuff. We can look at, one of my commenters was talking about the Akashic records and past life things. And I think, and I'm a proponent of that. If you're not, great, you may want to just click off now, fine. But if you go with logic and you believe in a lot of reincarnational experiences, you're going to have to come to the conclusion that we've had many lives as many different iterations of the sexes, right? All different iterations of masculine, different iterations of being feminine, heterosexual, gay, what all of that. We've had a lot of experiences, and experiences specifically that our spirit has wanted to gain wisdom through those experiences. So with that whole choosing, the whole choice from above, I think there's, we're just not connecting young people. And I can't help but think that if we were trained when we were really young how to be human in the nature, like the architecture of being a human being incarnate in 3D realm, how is that connected above? How is that connected to the invisible? How do we develop our intuition, our gut sense, our heart, our heart sense? How do we get our mind and our heart to be coherent? If we learned all these things, like, we would have a very, very different expression right now of the whole gender, what's going on, the whole woke thing, gender, scramble. It's like a big scramble. I think it would be different. I'm not saying there'd still be this beautiful natural range of how you fit into the spectrum of being a man, a woman, feminine, masculine. But we aren't taught those things. We come into life, we're raised and we're put into the machine of the educational system that teaches us a certain history, the prescribed history that teaches us, mathematics, sciences, all these things based on a certain perspective. And, you wonder why it's so easy to control humanity is because we've been cultivated and we've been indoctrinated into a system that's easier to control because we don't understand how this works, this whole thing. So with that, you add on top of all the exterior and external onslaughts to the physical body through, toxins and pollutants and all of that, you've got the scrambles gotten really scrambled. So now the new norm that people are trying to accept is so far from the natural. It's so far from the natural. How do we get back there? I wish it was actually I have an easy answer for that. I don't know how it would play out. But for me, the answer is, we can't go out and save the world. The world doesn't need saving. The world is a reflection of the consciousness of humankind at this point in time. It's a reflection of that. You'll say that's like the normal. How do we get back to natural? Get back to natural. Get back to that within you. If everybody took responsibility for themselves, took ownership of this vehicle, this mind, this heart, this body. How can I connect to my higher self? There's so much information available now for you to understand and learn and to clarify things. There's all kinds of different routes with that, whatever speaks to you. There's all kinds of things available nowadays to help you really open up and become sensitive to your higher self and the messages coming in. And those messages will be most helpful. Those messages is because it's the message of our being, right? It's the message of our real purpose. It's the message of who we really are, our real identity. If we can lock into that, we can get I'm going to do another video in the next day or two with Maria. Dr. Zayas is talking about heart-mind coherence and just from a physical level, how that works. And then we'll extrapolate that into other ranges. But if we can bring that into harmony within us, each individual, And then we find this beautiful harmony with our brothers and sisters out there. I mean, it just naturally happens. If you've been in that space, if you're in that space, cool. If you've touched into it here and there, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if not, just hold on to that vision that when you harmonize here, suddenly the people around you, there's just, you see, it's like the good things, the right things, the natural things in life, the compassion, the peace, the love and respect for each other. Those are nourished. Those are not just nourished, they're just there. And that's like what that's the platform from which we express and move through life from, is that coherence between us and another person, and then all of a sudden our community starts to be more coherent, and then we start to have a coherent nation, and then a coherent world. And that's how things will change, and that's how these other agendas fall by the wayside. Because if each one of us steps into our sovereignty as a creator being, super powerful, we step into that, then it's like the power magnifies. And the good news is that the power of light, if we want to call that light, coherence is light, the power of light far outweighs the power of darkness, because that's a void and emptiness. So you don't need to have like 51% to tip the scales. I don't know what the number is, but you don't need 51% to tip the scales to the other side. You need a smaller percent because it's very concentrated energy. You've probably heard of some of the I don't want to say maybe research, but experiments people did in whole groups of people meditating, and how that influenced the outer world and actually influenced, like far and wide from them, other cities, other, countries, other whole, there's just like this massive influence of a small group of people getting together with coherence, with love in their hearts, bringing in truth, that ignites outward, and that's unstoppable. And that's what we're being kept from understanding. They're trying to keep us from understanding the theys, whatever you want to put the theys on. We are not into a place of understanding, no matter what the influences are, of that for a reason, because that's the trajectory. That's like divine evolution. Boom, that's that trajectory upwards, which we all crave, right? We all want that. If you don't want that, if a person doesn't want that, well, they're really, they're pretty lost. As they say, really lost. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to bring another perspective, the Rebel Crone perspective, into the whole conversation about gender, that it's complicated at just the physical, psychological level, and then we bring in all these other factors and considerations, and it gets very complicated. But I think some of the solutions can be pretty simple. So all the young people out there, which they chose to, we use the same logic. We use the same logic now for young people that have, beings have incarnated into this specific agenda, this point in time in it, as people that are under that influence, or that those distortions are well into play. So that's a whole other thing. There's nothing mistake about that incarnation, but there's something to overcome and learn from it. And I think as elders, that if we can really hold the space of neutrality, in one sense of neutrality, that we're not judging young people for it, yet we're holding the line. We're saying, no, this, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Their blind rage, and they're, accusing people of just, discriminating and all this stuff, and the unacceptance towards them, but they're spinning right around, they're doing the same thing. It's just such, you see such anger and vitriol coming from, a lot of young people, a lot caught up in this confused spectrum, this normal spectrum now, not natural, normal spectrum. So I get it, but somebody needs to say, okay, let's just, are you ready? Is this working for you? Well, if it's working for them, great, stay in it, run the course. At some point it's not going to work for you. And at that point, we have to have people here that are going to help the youth to to understand, but to understand what's going on, and to, bring back into harmony into their bodies, and bring back into peace, and not being victims. Because there's a huge sense of victimhood, which is a complete lie. This separation, dividing small boxes, anger, all of that. It's all of that's just a bunch of lies, and it's all tangled up. And then we have all the people afraid that, we have to keep it, we can't be on PC about it. We have to be, accepting of diversity and all that. Well, yes, but there's also people that have to stand for the natural human, which a pure, beautiful connection in. And then however it looks out there, who cares? We're aligned. Anyways, so that is the Rebel Crone coming to you with maybe a little rebellious sort of perspective on it. Definitely a Crone perspective. Let me know how you feel. As always, I love comments. I love uplifting comments. I love comments that add to the discussion. I shared my viewpoint. There's a lot of other people out there that are, more educated, read in different areas, and I'm sure they're going to share with me, and expand my understanding of things. And I appreciate that. I love that. Thank you so much. So I'm going to sign off for now, and as always, peace be in ya. Oh, one more thing. Be sure to like. If you haven't liked the Rebel Cone, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you'll know when I drop the next video. Hopefully you'll know. I'm not sure that always works. But anyways, till next time.